Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Mena summer sessions, session number 1. We're super happy to have you all with us this evening. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody hear me loud and clear? Do say hi. Closing everything down. Okay, and here you go, I'm with you. So today is day 1 of 8. Hello to everybody joining us. I can see you all making comments in the chat box. We hope you're going to be a really engaged group this evening. I'm sure you are, because we're going to be talking about engaging our students. So everybody's going to have different ideas and perceptions around how they motivate their students, how they engage their students. And I'm sure you're all looking forward to receiving lots of tips and tricks to get those students enjoying the language and engaging with your lessons. So today, a very warm welcome to Basma, who's going to be our main presenter. She's there, I can see her in the background, giving us a wave. And she's going to be presenting on engaging minds, and she's going to be looking at strategies for motivating students and managing behavior. So for the first 45 minutes, we're going to be listening to Basma and all of her amazing ideas, which is going to be fantastic. And then after that, we're going to shift over and we're going to be joining my colleague, Mab, and she's going to be looking at taking some of those ideas and bringing them to life through the course books that we teach. And she's going to be looking at a brand new Macmillan education course book called Get Involved, which is for teen learners. And it's a really engaging and motivating course. And we're going to be looking at that a little bit later on. I think the title gives it away there, right? Get involved. So get your students involved. So this evening's webinar is brought to you by the Mena PD Academy. If this is the first time that you've joined us, if you haven't been with us before, I run something here at Macmillan Education called the Mena PD Academy, and it's a professional development community and platform to help teachers with their continuous professional development throughout the academic year. Let's introduce this guy to come and tell us all about it. Here he is, give us a wave. So the Mena PD Academy is our answer to a question, I guess, which is how can we better serve and support teachers here in the Mena region? So based all across the region, from Morocco to Oman to Egypt, Jordan, right up to Iraq, and help you advance learning and advance your teaching skills. It's a free professional development platform. You can scan that QR code, you can join us on any of the social media platforms, and you can go and visit our website. And there's a whole bunch of stuff on the website, which I continuously upload all the time. So these summer sessions, it just wants to keep going. These summer sessions, the topics have all come from our Mena Insights report. So we did a big piece of research last year, and I compiled all of the information that we gathered, all of your experiences, all of your challenges, all of your ideas. I put them all together in this report. I've done the young learners one so far. I've got the teens and young adults still to just polish off so that I can release that as well. But the things that came out of this report was that teachers in Mena wanted to focus on getting students engaged, which is why we have this one today. Productive skills. So over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be looking at speaking and writing and getting our students more confident, more comfortable, and more, what's another word? Let's think of another good word. More confident. Let's go with confident in productive skills, because we know that that's a big challenge for students here in Mena. And the last one was around differentiation and inclusion, making classes more inclusive, making sure all learners fulfill their potential, and that we can adapt our content to make it engaging again for our students. If you haven't seen this report, I did post it on the social medias, the link, but you can go to menapdacademy.com, and on the homepage, you can see it as a slideshow. You can download a free copy, go and have an explore. There's lots of signposting to additional professional development content in there as well, and lots of little tips and tricks that I put in there. So little fun things. So on to today. I've already told you what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at motivation and engagement for students. The course book that we're going to be looking at, as I mentioned, is Get Involved, which is a 6-level course for teenagers. I'm not going to say too much about it because I know Mab is eager to tell you all about how wonderful Get Involved is. But I guess I'll ask you some questions. We'll pitch it to them as questions, shall we, Mab? So give me a yes in the chat box if you have mixed ability classes. Let's see if we get some yeses in the chat box. And give me a yes if you would like your students to speak English more in the classroom. We've got some yeses, good. What about your teen or middle school or secondary students? Do they like to use a range of media? Do they like to watch videos and animations? We got lots of yeses. Okay, good. So make sure you stick around at the end. And I think Mab's session will show you some of these really practical ways of getting students involved, differentiating your content, getting them to collaborate, and getting them to speak, which I think is really key for us. Okay, certificates. Everyone's going to want to know about certificates. There will be a certificate. I'll send it out in the next couple of weeks. Once all of the sessions are finished, I'll compile all the attendance and I will send out certificates to everybody. I'll also attach in that email a little virtual goodie bag, maybe with some things about Get Involved. We've got some posters and we've got some additional professional development things as well. So I'll attach them in the email that you'll get for attending today. Oops, if you are watching on Facebook, I will come on in a minute and give you a link to register so that you can also get a certificate if you want one. For the rest of the week, because I know we want to get going, tomorrow we're going to be looking at writing skills for young learners with our colleague Ola. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing 10 tips for young learners. And then we're going to be looking at, again, productive skills for teens and young adults on Thursday with Mohammed, which is going to be fantastic. That's it from me. That's a big introduction. I had a lot of information I wanted to share at the beginning, but now I'm going to pass the baton over to Basma. And Basma, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can start sharing yours. Bring it up, stop sharing.
All right, so I'm going to start sharing.
First thing I'll do is say good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very good.
How is everyone? I'm so excited to be here, and I'm super excited that I can see in the chat people, educators coming from all over the world. Like we got a lot of countries here, like Jordan, Sudan, and Egypt, and it's Morocco and Bahrain, and like this is really super awesome. I'm so happy to meet you guys, all of you. So are you ready to start our baby session, our baby webinar here?
Yay. I think so, yeah. I'm going to put myself on mute, and then maybe you can turn your camera off as well if you want to sit in the background. We'll let Basma get going. Basma, have a wonderful session, and I'll see you for a few questions. If people have got questions, please do put them in the chat box, and I will monitor that, and we will ask Basma a few at the end. Basma, good luck. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Mab. And I'm so excited to start. So let me just make sure that you can hear me well, you can see me well, and you can see the presentation. And if there is anything that is not clear, just let me know in the chat. Okay, so all is clear. All right, so welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be with you and with this wonderful invitation. So we got the title of this webinar as Engaging Minds, and we're going to talk about very simple strategies that we can use in our classes to motivate our students and to manage their behavior, because usually when we don't have motivate students, we have an issue with classroom management. So let me first tell you a little bit about myself. I have been teaching English for more than 13 years and training teachers for 6 or 7 years. And I have provided a lot of classes, online, offline, recorded and live with different institutions like the American University, Canadian University, and US Embassy, and a lot of wonderful institutions around the country. So let's start with the outline of our webinar. And it's really quite simple because mainly we're going to talk about what's the difference between motivation and engagement, because usually we are confused or we feel that they are a little bit similar to one another. And we're going to talk about some strategies that can help us in fostering students' motivation. And we're going to talk also about strategies to increase students' engagement inside our classes, whether we're going to use technology or not. So, and after that, we're going to have some time for questions and answers. So let's start together with the first part of motivation versus engagement. So when you just take a moment and think motivation, engagement, like what's really the difference between them? So mainly, if we're going to talk about the difference in a very, to keep a long story short, motivation are like the factors that make the students behave in a certain way. So for example, motivation could be intrinsic or extrinsic, like we can have internal motivation or external motivation. So you can, if you're going to think about internal, something coming from the inside, so the students, if they want to succeed or to speak in English because they really love it and they want to excel in it because this is something they are interested in, so this is internal motivation. But if they just want to get better in the class, so this way they can get a high score, so their parents would buy them something, so this is external motivation. So if we got students who are motivated inside the class, like this little girl here, she's a little bit motivated to learn, eventually they, by using the right techniques or the right strategies inside our class, the right activities for them, we might have really engaged students inside the class. So the engaged students or having engagement in our classes, it means that the students want to participate in our classes. This means students who do their assignments, we don't have to like run after them so that they can do it, or they can answer the questions inside our classes, and they can also study and retain the information in an easy way. So this is like basically the main difference between motivation and engagement. So let's go to what really like we're thinking about. Okay, so theoretically this is motivation and this is engagement. So what are some of the strategies that we can use? So let's first have the like some of the main techniques that we could use in motivation. So what we can do first is to set the right expectations and goals for the students. We have to know where our students are coming from, like academically, if they are beginners, intermediate, advanced in the content that we are delivering to them. So if we know their level, we can set the right goal so we can have like realistic expectations. So this way we can ask the students what they really need, why they are learning, and what we are going to teach them, and how we're going to reach the point that they need to reach eventually. So this is like mainly the first step, which is going to be setting clear expectations and goals. Then we can have positive reinforcement, and we're going to talk about this when we come a little bit further, when we talk about certain websites or techniques that we can use inside the class. We can have positive reinforcement, and this positive reinforcement could be something as simple as the grades or the scores that we can have in the class, or it can be something like a good word, you know, like a pat on the shoulder, telling them that they have done a good job. So this is motivating the students or giving them positive reinforcement. The third point here, which is constructive feedback. Have you ever heard about the word sandwich technique? Like, you can write me in the chat, yes or no. sandwich technique for giving feedback, not for eating or drinking, because okay, we got a couple of yeses and a couple of no's. All right, so all right, so for those who said no, let me clarify it or give it to you like in simple steps. Let's imagine that we have a sandwich, but we're not gonna eat it. So that sandwich has a part of it saying something positive to our students. And at the end of our feedback, we're also going to give something positive. So we have like on the top and at the bottom, something positive. You might think that we're going to give them something positive just like for them emotionally and that's it. Not just to care for their emotions, but also to strengthen what they already do in a good way. So this way they can do it over and over again repeatedly. So this is like we tell them something nice about their performance, something that they have done right in the beginning of our feedback, and something good that they have done at the end. But what happens really in the middle? So in the middle of our feedback, we tell them about the area of improvement, what they really need to work on. And we just don't leave it there because it's a constructive feedback. We start to tell them how they are going to fix it or the action plan, how we're going to help them step by step to provide them with the resources and the plan that it can help them eventually to reach the destination they would like to reach. So this is one of the things that would actually increase the motivation inside our classes. Now, let's go to another one, which is a sense of community, creating a sense of community inside the class, which we're going to talk about later on in the engagement part, is how I can create teams inside of my classes and instead of just making my students work alone. And you know what happens when we have a student who has a certain area of improvement, or they feel that they are underachieving in the material we are teaching them, so they feel a little bit alone, and then after a while they just don't feel motivated to attend our classes anymore. So when we start to create a sense of community in the class and making the students work together, they would have a supportive community where they can actually make a success together. So this is like a little bit broad. Let's go to another broad umbrella for engagement before we start to talk about some examples so that we can use if we are using a low-tech class or a high-tech class. Now let's go to the engagement strategies, which we already talked, like we had sort of a lead-in in the motivation part. Now we're going to active learning, where we can have activities to make our classes student-centered more than teacher-centered, especially when students are, you know, they are capable of researching or doing projects. And also for making cooperative learning techniques inside the class. If you have ever heard about it, like Kagan, structures where we can let the students work in teams and instead of just working alone, and this way they can make a bigger success. And again, it's competition, but instead of making this competition between individuals, they can be between teams, and this way it's gonna be a little bit, you know, easier on their heart. Like it's not like one person failed in the competition or didn't get the right score, but it's like we all didn't make it. So this way it's a little bit easier. And then we can have technology, and the role of technology nowadays is amazing, especially if we're talking about artificial intelligence and gamification. So like give me a thumbs up or write me in the chat if you started to be a bit familiar about the different artificial intelligence tools or gamification. You can write me in the chat. All right, so we got some really amazing comments here. Yes, I totally agree with all of that. All right, okay. Oh, ChatGPT, yes. Ahmed, it's one of them. We're going to talk about it along with other samples for websites, and also to talk about how or why these websites would be a good choice if you want to use it for later on. We got AI for presentations. Nice. Thank you, Hind. All right, perfect. So let's talk together about gamification and websites that are using AI. So first, let's talk about gamification. Gamification simply is if you ever played video games when you were a child, or computer games, and you were very much hooked into the game, and everyone is calling you and you're not listening, you cannot hear them because you are just into the game so much. So that's because of the gamification or the principles that they were using that hooked you in the game. So gamification is basically taking the same principles, techniques, or tools that they were using in creating video games into other fields or other industries like business and marketing and education. So let me tell you about some examples that you could actually be using in your own schools. Or maybe you used it in your own class, but you didn't know that it's part of gamification, or you never heard about it before. So let's talk about it together now. So the first point here in gamification, which is using points or rewards, and this is a little bit different from using score to grade the students. Like, we're not talking about the academic grades, but we're talking about virtual or hypothetical points that they could be collecting during the week. So this way they can reach a certain reward eventually. Maybe they can get a certain title or a certain badge, you know, like maybe this is going to be the princess of the class, or the king of the school, or the best behavior, or the kindest heart, or the most supportive student inside the class, where you can find that we can print them on badges, and then they can have it on their shirts, on their school shirts, and walk with pride inside the school, feeling that they actually did a success and they are showing it off. And this is, of course, like, it would foster the extrinsic or external motivation that the students would have. Another point, which is using leaderboards. This is when the students are actually getting a lot of points, and then they start to have a certain rank inside the class. And the leaderboards here could be for academic success, or also for a certain showing a good or positive behavior inside the class. So mainly to increase our students' motivation and the engagement inside the class, we are not only focusing on their academic achievement, because some students really cannot make it in academically, but if you just like ignore them, they will never learn and they will never give you a peace of mind inside the class. So here, if we're trying to give everyone like the ability to show off their own strength, this could actually help. Like, even when you ask one of the students to help you distributing the notebooks or the books, this could be something that they would be rewarded for, that they are cooperative, so they can get points, and that will increase their chance to be on the leaderboard. Something here I would like to note: if we are having a very big class, leaderboards might not be really effective, because if one student is like, we have 40 students inside the class or more, and then you have the student at the bottom of the leaderboard, they might feel a little bit like, you know, it's gonna be impossible to overcome or succeed over the 40 people ahead of me, or the 39 people ahead of me. But if we're talking that the student, they are like 10 or 20 students, so leaderboards could be really nice, and every week we would have different people on the board, on the leaderboard, and we can have more than one leaderboard, maybe 2 or 3, according to what kind of achievements we are looking for. So this way it will be, you know, like equity, or we are distributing the scores or the points over, as Nathan said, if we have mixed ability classes. Something else that we could do as part of the gamification, which is turning in any activity that we are doing in our material, in our content inside the class, into a quest or scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt, for example, where the students are actually running around the class, where they are collecting clues. So this way they can find the questions, and then they can answer the questions, or find the clues to take them to the next task. So this way, a quest could be actually really nice for them. Like it would help them feel that they are playing. So technically the material itself or the questions themselves are normal, like content-wise they are normal, but we are using the activities in a gamified way. So this way it would be fun for them. Something else that we can use while we are, for example, assessing our students is a progress bar. Have you had a LinkedIn account, and while you were refilling or filling your information on the account, you would find a progress bar, like every piece of information that you are adding, you find that the progress bar is completing. Have you ever had that on any website, not just LinkedIn, any website, any Google form, any quiz you're taking online, you would see like a progress bar telling you that you're about to finish? Okay, you can write me in the chat, yes or no. Okay, so, all right. Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no, and some people, they are saying yes on Google Form. That's really nice. This is also gamification. Yes, Ahmed, also on Kahoot, and we're going to talk about Kahoot as well. So all of these websites, they are using progress bar because psychologically, when our brain just checks that there is something that is not complete, we just want to complete it further. So instead of me just giving an exam in a normal way to assess my students, I can use a progress bar, like I can use the quiz on Google Form. So this way, instead of just writing 20 questions on Google Form in one page, if I know about gamification and how I can use it to motivate my students, so instead of writing the 20 questions in one page, I can just make it like 5 questions in each section. So this way, when the student is answering the 5 questions, they find that they finished 25% of the quiz, and this will motivate them to finish their quiz faster. And this is some sort of like competition, but in their own mind. So progress bars could actually be really nice if you are assessing your students. So this way they wouldn't be just like, it's long, we're bored. No, they would be just interested to finish their own progress bar or see it complete. Something else that we can do is creating a narrative. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools for anyone to be hooked in anything that they are doing. So if we're going to provide a certain set of questions or activities where the students, they need to learn, so I can use cooperative learning and I can divide them into teams. So, but instead of just leaving them into teams and they are answer it together, what I can do is I can create a story. Like they have a quest and we got a stolen ship, and we got the pirates and we got the owners of the ship and the teams that will finish the finding the questions, answering them, and finding the later on clues for the other set of questions before the other team, they can protect their ship or they can steal the ship from the other team. So this way, you know, like we can also give them masks for pirates or anything that would actually make them live inside the story. So it would be like we're just reaching what we want at the end, that they are solving the questions, but without feeling that, you know, it's a little bit heavy on their heart, or that they are a little bit bored with it. Something else that we can do along with this, which is actually making the students lose something, but instead of going to the class and just keep yelling at them, if you didn't do this, or if you didn't solve the questions, or if you were not silent for the rest of the class, I'm going to deduct it from your grades. Some students don't really care about the grades. So what we can actually do if we are using gamification inside the class, which is actually making them lose some of the points so that they actually won, you know, like they sweat a lot until they get a lot of points, like what you see in any game, and we can actually deduct it from these points, and not just from them individually, but also from the whole team. or we can have torture breaks. You know, when you are playing an online game, right? And for them to make you subscribe to the game and pay money, so they give you a torture break. They tell you you cannot play the game until you have until 30 minutes pass. Have you ever seen this in an online game, or I'm the only one who actually plays games? Anyone have seen this, the torture breaks, or they were playing a game and they just yeah, in Candy Crush? All right, in Q Islam, I didn't want to feel I'm the only one here who just like a little bit childish. So yes, so in the games you can like be you're playing and suddenly they just stop the game for a certain reason. It's like a punishment, but it's not really like aggressive punishment. It's not like we're hitting someone or we're yelling at them or any of that. It's actually we're stopping them from playing. So it's the same idea. Let's imagine that we have 5 teams inside of our class and they are trying to protect their ship or steal the ship from someone. They are pirates, and then we just tell one of the teams who were making certain noise or they are misbehaving in a certain way, we just tell them, you're not going to take your next turn. So this is a torture break. We are making them suffer by not giving them their turn to answer the next set of questions. So this way they will not be able to complete their score or the points that they need to get the reward at the end. So that's for some, there are of course so many tools or techniques or ideas for gamification. These are like the most common that you can actually see while you're playing games or completing information on websites, or you can also adopt them into your own classes. They are really fun to use. So you can find these ones, like you can do them without any technology inside your class. You can just get like your marker and a chart and you can create them by pen and paper. But these ones here, we're using technology, and these are some of the really nice websites that you can use that are based on technology. Some of them, or actually almost all of them, are using artificial intelligence. And we can talk about artificial intelligence in a broad way next time or someday, inshallah. So we have websites like Kahoot, Quizlet, Edpuzzle, Padlet. So are you familiar with any of them? If you like to write to me in the chat, which of these websites you have tried yourself, whether just for yourself or whether in your class with your students. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Kahoot, Quizlet, Edpuzzle, and Padlet. Okay, 4 of them. Grammarly, nice. Kahoot and Padlet. Never heard of number 5 or 7. Okay. Oh, but you've never heard of Furwy. It's actually a little bit like ChatGPT, but in a childish way. Quizlet. All right, perfect. So, okay, Word Mini, yeah, that's another one. All right. Okay, so let me just go through the websites where I'm just gonna show you the website, so this way you can, if you didn't use it before, you can take note with it, so you can try to experiment with it or play with it for a while. So let me share with you my screen, my other screen. All right. Here we go. I got a lot of websites opened. So this is like the first one we were talking about, which is Kahoot, and I'm sure like most of you are familiar with it. It's really simple, and of course if your school could afford or make a paid subscription, it would really help you a lot. But let's say that we cannot really make the paid subscription for any website. What we can do is a little bit of a hack here, is we can search on the website with a certain piece of content that we would like to use, or we can find a certain set of questions or a preset activity that other teachers did, and they are using it or making it public for other teachers, so we can, you know, co-share it. So that would be one of the ways that a lot of us here actually do. So we got, for example, this one, Kahoot. So we got a certain game, teaching social emotional learning. And of course, when we are teaching English inside a class or whatever material we are teaching, we usually teach our students something along with it, like being, teaching them sympathy, empathy, or any other skills that they might need for their future. So let's check a quick one here. All right. Let's choose. Okay, let's choose a nickname. Okay. All these websites are based on artificial intelligence and gamification. So you can find, let me show you like the part related to points that we were talking about. So here they just have the question. Let's learn about emotions. You have seen that movie before, Inside Out? Please say that you watch a cartoon just like me. All right. Okay, Nathan loves Inside Out. I really love it too. Sometimes I feel that the blue girl here or the blue character is living inside me a lot. So let's start with the first question. So this is the question. Usually the students are connected with the questions. Like you give them a link and they can use their phone, and so they can choose the question. So which emotions? This is the part that I was telling you about in gamification, is using points. So here the students are collecting points. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. So let's try to answer it wrong this time. So we got the question, and did you see the time bar? So I actually lost, and they are having these quotes to motivate the students a little bit. So it's really fun if you're the kind of person who actually likes to play. I mean, sometimes I go to my classes to play, like I would go to have fun regardless of how people will feel. So this is one of the websites, and these are some of the gamification techniques that I was telling you about, like points, winning them or losing them. Now let's go to another website. I'm sure like most of you have used real flashcards inside your class. This is a similar idea to it, where we can actually make flashcards, but in a virtual way, so the students can use them to study. So for example, if I'm teaching my students the present simple tense, for example, so I got here the sentence and the picture, and then I can just like give the hint or the answer on the other part of the flashcard. And so I can have so many flashcards with pictures and questions, so that the students can use them to study or use them before their exams to study. So you can use them according to what you really want. So we got a question in the chat, which is, are they suitable only for the lower grades? You can use the website as per the content that you are teaching. So you can make the quiz difficult or easy, or the questions difficult or easy, according to what you are actually teaching. You can use it, yes, for recapping, or you can use it to introduce the material. So when you use the website or the activity or the technique, depends on what you really want to do in your lesson. Do you want to use it as an introduction? You can use it as a pre-assessment, like a pre-test before you start teaching, and then you can use it as a post-test. You can just play with it as much as you like. And then we have this website, Edpuzzle. So let's say that we have, for example, let me share the sound. All right, okay. So we can have like a video, and then we can have parts of this video as quizzes, and then the student can get like the score. So we got, where is Simon? We can say in the kitchen or in the garden. So I can choose in the garden. I already. It's I need to log in, but when I press in the kitchen, it will just give me the right score, and then I can continue to watch the rest of the video, and each part of the question or the video I can have another question. Now let's check another website, and this one is really nice and really simple. Let me check the comments. All right, okay, so we're doing well so far. This one here is really nice if you are struggling with writing inside the class, because it's colorful and you can use it in any way that you actually like. So let me tell you, for example, if you're teaching a lesson, whether you're teaching English, science, or interdisciplinary material, and you need to teach them, for example, the planets, you can just have pictures of them, and you can have these notes about them, and then later on you can just mix them and the students would arrange them. This is one way of doing it. I'm just showing you some samples of activities, or we know that's, yeah, or if you want the students to write something to one another, it could be like you know, a good review over something that they wrote and they want to comment on each other's writing, or if you want them to write something nice in general for one another, this is one way of doing it. Or if you want to create questions or quizzes and the students would be answering them in notes, you would ask them to collaborate and start writing their own notes here. So you can just do this. Or if you want them to write an essay, a paragraph, a letter, whatever you want them to write, they can create their own Padlets, and then they can write while they attach pictures. It's like they are creating their own blogs where they can make it a little bit, you know, colorful, and they add their own feelings into it. So this is one of the things, and it's actually really simple. Like if we checked, for example, here, you can find that I can actually move it anywhere. I can simply create it and write what I want. Like this is like letter to my friend. And then I can write something here. Hello, my friend. And I can choose the color I want. I'm gonna choose purple. I love this color. I can attach a picture, I can attach a link, a file, anything, and then I just leave it here, and then I can then publish it. So I can find it here. See, I can easily move it. So you can actually use it also for making students to brainstorm together. Like instead of just writing on paper, especially if you are teaching online and you want all of your students writing or brainstorming about a certain idea for an essay or paragraph they are writing or a presentation they are preparing. So you can teach them about Padlet, or you can give them Padlet to use. So this way the students would feel it's colorful and fun, and they can actually rechange or rewrite in a nice way. So this is one way of using Padlet. Let's go to, oh, this is another one here. Like if you are teaching your students how to create their own calendar or a weekly planner, and so they can create it and add pictures to it. Usually students feel it's really nice when they add their own thing or their own pictures of choice in their own material. Another website that we could use, which is Educa Play, and there are different activities here. Of course, most of the websites that you can be using, they need subscription. So what you can do is to try to select a certain activity from each website that you could include into your own lesson plan or your own classes. So if you got, for example, 1 trial or 1 month trial, or if you got 3 or 4 activities that you could use for free, you can use them in your class. So from each website, you can use 1 or 2. So this way your whole semester will include maybe 10 or 20 different websites. So this is one of the games also, or the websites that use games. And if you remember the leaderboard, when we were talking about it, do you remember it? Say yes in the chat if you remember it. Yay, Basma, we remember the leaderboard. Yes, we were talking about it. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. All right. So the leaderboard that I was telling you about in the beginning as part of gamification, this is a sample of it. Like the students would be having certain scores. So for example, the one who will get the highest score will be on the top, and then later on it will go a little bit down at the bottom of the leaderboard. So here we got like 10 people. And of course, every day or every activity, this could change. And this is a little bit competition-wise. It drives people crazy, especially people who are competitive. So let's check. I think we had a game. Where it is now? That's. All right. I actually had one opened. Which one was it? All right. Yeah, I think it's. Let's try this one. No, okay. Yeah, it's a little bit. Okay, here it is. I guess you can see my screen, like it's now full screen, right? Yes, okay, so we can start. So here, for example, this activity for using superlatives, okay? So we have the word adorable, and we want to use the superlative form. You can help me here. What should I write? Like I can say adorablest, for example. Yeah, Nathan, yes, I have zillions of tabs. Okay, so I can write, for example, the most adorable. Yes, Huwaida, thank you so much for that. And I can check. So if you noticed here, it made the A letter as green, and then it moved to B, all right? And then we got brave. What should we say? The most brave? Can we say this? Yay, no. Oh, don't fight. We're just gonna try to figure out the answer together. Maybe you can help me. Bravest, very good, Islam. So we can have the bravest. And here it did the same. So you can find that it's going through each letter in the alphabet in this exercise. So instead of just telling my students, what should we write here, and in a dull way, I can just use a different interface. You know, the students see a different website, different colors, so they feel a little bit intrigued, despite that it's a really simple activity and simple questions. So there was another one, but I don't know where I can find it in the zillions of tabs I have here. Now let's go to another one, which is Grammarly. I'm gonna keep a little bit to after Grammarly. So Grammarly, do you use it? I mean, as a teacher, do you use it for yourself? I'm not talking about the students or in education. Do you use it for your own life? If you're writing something, emails, have you ever used Grammarly before? All right, we got 2 no's. We got 1 yes, 3 no, and 1 yes. Yes, sure. All right, so you guys, those who said no, yes, as yeah, who said it's a lifesaver? Yes, it is a lifesaver. You know, imagine yourself, this, even if you are an English teacher and you are writing an email and you have all of this hustle, you know, like your school, and then they are requesting a lot of things from you, and you prepare material and exam and all of this, and you're just writing something and you just like you cannot see anymore. This is your lifesaver. Yes. So for example, if I wrote here, I'm using it, you can just like download it and you can use it for free. Only certain features would be need for subscription, but other than this, you can, for example, I wrote here once upon a time, and then when I press on once here, it tells me that this is wrong, and it starts to provide me with what I should write. So it tells me it should be a pun, and it tells me that you don't want to mark it as misspelled in the future. You can add it to your personal dictionary, so this way I can correct it. Also, She corrected once as well. And it's telling me what did I do wrong in spelling, or if I need to change pronouns. And if you think about it, this is what we do while we are teaching writing in our classes. And of course, like, you know, wearing eyeglasses, it just it's because of teaching. So and the correction a lot. So when we write to our students the writing or the correction codes, if you are familiar with the correction codes while we are teaching students writing. So instead of just telling them that we got spelling here and which word is wrong and which one is right, so Grammarly will help us do this. So we can have here, for example, which, it tells us it should be who. So it seems that there is a pronoun problem here. So who, the student now knows the correction and knows why it was wrong. You know, that's usually the problem with feedback. Sometimes teachers would just, you know, use the red marker or pen to say that this is wrong, and this is wrong. But, you know, what is really wrong with it? So you can find correction codes here. Grammarly or any website like Grammarly would do exactly the same. It can teach the students or help them with their vocabulary, spelling, grammar, word choice, everything, you know. So this is one of the websites that we can use, and it works not just if you're having Google Documents, it can work on your mail, even if you're writing a WhatsApp message on while you're using the desktop version. This will also help you. So now you don't have to worry as a teacher while you are sending a message to your supervisor that if they saw a wrong word, they might judge you a little bit. So this way you can have your own personal assistant and also teach your students to use it. So this way it can help them a lot. Rasha is saying it's a good tool for detecting students plagiarize work. Yeah, well, after ChatGPT, I doubt that plagiarism is gonna work in the same way again. So let's take another website. So which websites did we have missing? Let's check from our PPT. So we have done all of them, and now we got Furwy and ChatGPT. So let's check them together. Are you ready for Furwy? Yes, Basma, we're so ready and we're super excited. We're just going to the last two ones here. Yes. I love to hear the word yes. You can just like make also like thumbs up if you got emoji or something. I really love emojis. So yeah, okay. So Furwy is a little bit similar to ChatGPT, but you know, it looks a little bit childish if you are, you know, that kind of person. So here it is. Did you see it before? Furwy? Hi, Furwy. So when you log in, just make the sound. So I just muted it, so this way you can hear me. So I can chat to it, or I can record to it. So Furwy is an AI website. It depends on artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, but it looks a little bit, you know, user-friendly, or the user experience is nice. So for example, let's say that we're teaching students anything, like for example, I want to know information about Egypt. If you are asking your students to write an essay, for example, about Egypt. Yeah, here it is.
Egypt is a country in North Africa with a rich history and culture. Some of its most famous sites include the Great Pyramids, the Valley of Kings, and the Karnak Temple Complex. It is also home to the ancient capital city of Cairo and the Nile River, which is the longest river in the world.
All right, thank you Furwy for that. You know, I can also record voice notes to it, and if you're teaching your students to, if you are teaching them, yeah, thank you Furwy, yeah. All right, so if you're teaching your students English and you want them to practice their language, they can also use the recording. So let's try it together. Maybe this time you can give me a question, because I'm actually running out of some questions to ask. So ask something. Let's just like, Yes, Islam, I know it's very cute. I actually wish if I can just take it out of the screen and play with it. So who would like to give us a question to ask it as a voice note, like I will record a voice to it? How many types of cats are there? Okay, let's try together. How many cats are there in the world? Just record it. Now it's thinking.
That's an interesting question. There is no exact answer, as it depends on a variety of factors. However, estimates suggest that there may be up to 600 million domestic cats in the world.
Thank you, Furry.
You are welcome. Anytime you need help with a question, I'm here for you.
All right, so that's Furry. That's basically like ChatGPT, but in a little bit childish way. I'm just gonna remove it now from my screen because it looks adorable so much that it is actually distracted me. So you can let your students use it to ask them about anything, and actually like anything they might want to ask about, whatever material that you are teaching, you can just let your students use it. You can let your kids use it because it's like their own personal teacher at home or in the class, you know. Like, do you remember not long time ago, like just before AI, when we students ask us something and then we tell them Google it? Now it's going to be AI, you know, just ChatGPT it. So we're going to ask them to depend more on ChatGPT or any artificial intelligence tools instead of just like the normal internet. Now let's go to ChatGPT. Anyone used ChatGPT? Anyone? Let me check. Okay, all right. Nice. Poe. Okay, yes, I'm using Poe as well because it's provided me with the free version. Yes, perfect. So basically, ChatGPT is artificial intelligence again, and you can ask it about anything that can help you as a teacher or can help your students to do something with their homework or their projects. So now it's not really about the homework itself, but how they process the homework and how they present it. So let's imagine that you ask your students to brainstorm certain ideas. So instead of just like suffering alone in brainstorming for ideas, they can actually ask for ideas for ChatGPT. You can go to this website, Poe, and you can find different ones here, different AI websites. You can use the green logo, ChatGPT. So this way you can use the free version. So you can ask it questions or you can ask it for anything you could ever imagine. So what would you like to ask? Maybe you can help me a little bit. Like what kind of things you asked it before? I mean, for myself, I used it for almost everything. Like I remember one time I had a couple of ingredients in my fridge. I really didn't know what to cook. And so I told ChatGPT, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, what should I do? So it started to give me the, what should I do, the recipes and some videos. And it was like really helpful. So, all right, we got a really nice question from Islam. I don't know if it's going to be able to. I'm going to take your question, copy paste to Islam. All right, Nathan, I'm going to take his question and write it. Okay. So Islam asked, how can I join you as part of your education team in Macmillan Publishers? Despite that Nathan and Mab could help you with this question more, but let's check what ChatGPT is going to tell us out of curiosity. And also, if you can check here, can you see this grammarly? Like there is a mistake here, so we can check what is the mistake. And it's telling us use at instead of in. Thank you, Chat. Thank you, Grammarly. Accept. But by the way, ChatGPT is not gonna care if it's in or out. It will understand the question very well. Yeah, it's telling you that as an AI model, I cannot really know what to do, but then it starts to give you what you should do, like to go for job openings on the website, research the company, update your resume and cover letter. So it's a little bit of an open answer. So this is one of the things you could actually do before your interviews, before if you want to write a CV, a cover letter, an email, any kind of email. You have a problem with a parent and you want to write a very good email for the school principal, for example. So you tell them about the situation, you give them the prompt that you like, the scenario or the situation, and then ask it. So let's check another question. What should I do in my free time? Okay, Nada, let's have your question. Okay, Grammarly again is telling us, what is this? I know that you're writing it as like online abbreviations. So yes, Nathan, they can ask you this one. All right, so these are some of the things you can do to read a book, exercise, volunteer, learn a new skill, spend time with friends, travel. You know, you can tell them, I have an interview with us as an English teacher for a school. What questions they might ask me? They are going to give you or prepare you for the interview. And not just that, you can also ask ChatGPT to give you answers to these questions. So you can rehearse it and add, of course, to it your own experience and your own stories. So for example, we got here number 1, like what inspired you to become an English teacher and what do you hope to achieve in this role? So what we can do is, can you answer number 1? The nice thing about it is that they actually understand what you're talking about. Like you can just complete the conversation. You don't have to write or rewrite the prompt or remind them of what you said before. You can just, as if you're talking to a human being and you're just moving on with the conversation. Unlike Google, for example, used to write the question, but the next search, you have to rewrite again what you're talking about. So this way it can understand you. So here it starts to give you the exact answer or the perfect answer that you can do. And of course, you have to tell your own story along with it. So it's actually amazing. I highly recommend using it because it's really good. So that's for ChatGPT. And the other websites that we were talking about, these ones here, and mainly like everything that we have. So we're going to have like questions and answers time. If you had any questions that I can help you with. And like, thank you so much for being active participants. And thank you, Nathan and Mab, for this wonderful invitation. I really loved the wonderful participation everyone was contributing.
We loved it too, and it's you're right, what a great crowd. They're all getting involved and everybody's loving all of these really practical things, these websites and these digital tools that they can use with their students to get them engaged. There is a few there's a few questions. Obviously the one that everybody wants to know the answer to is, how can I work for Macmillan Education? Question number 1, right at the top of the list. But the opportunities are there. This is what the Mena PD Academy is about. We are trying to give educators a voice and opportunities to get involved. And this is, you know, a case right here, right, Basma? We connected on LinkedIn, we talked, you did a podcast for us, and that's led, you know, to us being able to give you this opportunity. And I'm so glad we did, because you know, the things that you're sharing with us are things that we don't always get to talk about. So we talk about lots of other things, but so I think this is a really great, it's a really great opportunity. So there's going to be more opportunities in the future. So if you're interested, I mean, yeah, connect with me, send me a message on LinkedIn, tell me what you're interested in, and we can have that conversation, I think. So we got some questions related to the session itself. I also made some notes as well because I was hugely interested. I'd never seen this little, I want to keep wanting to call it Furby, but do you remember like Furby, those?
Furby.
Yeah, but I remember Furbies. Do you remember Furbies, the little toys? They were like little...
I think, yeah, they looked a little bit like it, right?
Yeah, and they would talk, right? They were like the first things that would like answer you back. I think you would ask them things and they would talk to you, right? I think Furbies. I'm too old for it, but I think my youngest sister had one, if I remember right. But I always want to say Furby. I've never heard of this website, and I love that. Actually, I think it was really nice for students to be able to ask their questions to this like character, and he gives them good. I was going to say good advice. It's not good advice, but he gives them ideas. He gives them, but they're practicing, right? Because they're doing it in English. There's listening there because he's talking to them, and they can also do it reading as well. So I guess you could hide the reading, and they could do it via listening, or you could turn the sound off, and they could do it via reading. You could practice both skills, right? But you're using that platform to make it motivating for them, which I really like. So let's look at some of the questions that people had. Some people were asking about if their students don't have access to technology. So this is great. Some of this, especially things like Kahoot. If all your teen students have a phone, you can easily do Kahoot. You could do it in the classroom. But if students don't have their own devices, can you still use it in class, or is it more difficult?
Well, if we don't have any technology at all, we can rely on gamification. You know, the points, the leaderboard, the competitions, the cooperative learning, the teamwork. All of these would actually do exactly the same idea like technology. So you can be using technology. If you are overusing technology inside your class, it might not be fun, you know, they might be sitting, but they're not moving at all. But if you're having a treasure hunt and you have absolutely no technology, they might actually go crazy and they would be really enjoying themselves. So we don't really need technology all the time. We can just use the activity as per the school resources or the class resources that we already have, and we can just change according to what we have, you know.
Yeah, actually, when I was writing that report that I mentioned at the very beginning, one of the things that came out was that a lot of teachers are worried that technology is making students less motivated to do non-technology activities. So there are stuff that they do still need to do. They do still need to do pieces of writing and listening activities. And they're saying that if it's not game, if there's no rewards attached to it, because I think the rewards are really nice, but I think rewards are external motivation, right? You have the carrot and you have the stick, right? So you either force somebody to do something, or you try to motivate them externally with fun things. That's the carrot, right? It's like you're trying to get to it all the time, like the donkey. So
even using rewards like all the time, it could turn into a bribe, you know, like they are just like used to it and they start to say like, no, we want a bigger gift or a more expensive one. So
yeah.
It's just like about creating balance. And the difference between AI and a human being is that you can actually see what your students are doing inside the class, who they are and what motivates them, what doesn't. So this way you can customize the learning experience. Like it's not just I know ChatGPT, so I'm gonna go and throw it to them. They might not be interested. Some students would be more interested if I took them into a field trip, for example. So this could be way more fun, or vice versa.
So I guess, yeah, that's about, I guess, learning preferences, right? What's finding different ways to engage them, not using the same thing all the time. I guess getting a bit creative, right? Yeah, okay. And somebody was asking right at the very beginning, because I think some of that stuff you're mentioning relates to the idea that you were talking around creating a sense of community in the classroom. So they were saying, you know, isn't it making the classroom a safe place, making mistakes? Isn't that an important part to boost their engagement?
Yes, Yes. Of course, you know, like I had before, students who were visually impaired and students who were sighted and low sighted, all of them together in one class. And it was like a bit of a war, a psychological war, like each party would look down upon the other until they just learn that they need to behave like one team. So each team has to, you know, like to have all people of all abilities together, and they just like did a great job, of course, after a lot of fighting together, but they did great because you know the visually impaired students, they had like the greatest, widest imagination I have ever witnessed in my life. So it actually provided the other students with a lot of ideas that they actually needed. So after some time they start to behave like one family, you know. It's not just a community, it's like they rely on one another, and they start to believe to believe in each other, and be confident that the others could actually add something to the team. This is creating a sense of community inside the class, creating teams, supporting one another. There is no such thing as this student is a low achiever, so we're just going to kick them out of our world. But no, this low achiever could be a kind person who would actually give them confidence to do a certain task, even supported the cleverest student.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. I can see Mahab is enthusiastically waiting there in the wings. So Basma, I'd like to thank you once again. In fact, what you were just saying then leads us, I think, seamlessly into the next section, because it's all around getting students involved. Mahab, would you like to share your screen, and then I will pass the baton over to you. Basma, please stick around, and we'll say thanks again at the very end.
Thank you.
See you in a bit. Mahab, good evening.
Hello, sorry, I just
You lost the screen share at the bottom.
I lost it. Wait. Yeah.
So for those of you who joined us a little bit late, Mahab is going to do an additional 15 to 20 minutes. And she's going to be looking at some of those ideas that Basma was talking about, motivation and engagement. But lots of us use coursebook material with our students. And of course, that means we're following certain structures and systems. So Mav's going to look at bringing some of those ideas to life using coursebook materials. And she's going to use Get Involved, which is our coursebook for teens. It's a 6-level coursebook, as for some examples, Anya Mav. I will pass to you. There you go. Good luck.
Thanks, Nathan. Thank you. Thank you very much, Basma. I sure enjoyed your session a lot, and I'm sure everybody else did. My name's Ma'ab Al-Shalji. I'm education consultant for Macmillan Education in Jordan. I will be talking about the book that we have here. You know, you can see in front of you on the screen. And before I start talking about it, I would like to ask you a question. I would like to ask, what factors do you think contribute to a more developed way of learning in a classroom? So you heard a lot from Basma, and so now let's hear from you what the factors you think could be. And by the way, the slide in front of you can give you a lot of ideas. So thank you very much. The 4 C's. AI, definitely. Thank you, Rasha. Thank you, Sarah. What else can you see on that slide? Definitely. It's all about communication. It's all about engagement, definitely, and thinking. It's all about getting involved in the teaching process, and definitely teaching teenagers, because the entry level is A1 plus, and the exit level is B2 critical thinking. Definitely, you can see it there in front of you, where it's clearly there's something going on inside this head, the green head in front of us. And so thank you very much for all of what you said, all of the factors that you mentioned, but I need you to have a good look at the pictures also, the humans that we have in the pictures there. There's an absolutely important factor for me. I mean, I love this factor because for all humans, they're smiling, thank you. And so smiling means that as a human being, you're enjoying what you're doing, you're having fun. And so fun is a word that works with all ages. And moving on to the next slide. Now, you can see that with Get Involved, there are factors that contribute to making the learning process more effective inside the classroom. And Get Involved helps in establishing these factors. So it helps in creating the engaging, collaborative class with no need for, sometimes very little need for preparation. Now, why am I saying this? It's because with us, Macmillan, you get all the support you need. Teachers will have access to resources either in their teacher book or the teacher resource center that they access. Now, we want to talk a little bit about this when, you know, engaging in the collaborative methods. You feel, and like Besma mentioned before, that the world around us is developing very, very fast. And so students need to feel that the books they're using can compete with our fast changing world. I mean, some of the things that Besma mentioned, to be honest, I haven't even, you know, heard of them, let alone, you know, tried them. So we are preparing students with Get Involved. We're preparing students for the world ahead of them through using methods and techniques to boost students' confidence in the learning process and their learning abilities. Now, imagine if students were actually using methods like those and using gamification, the kind of confidence that will be created. Now, if we move to the next slide, you can see here, we have the Students app, and we also have Teachers app. But first, I'll start to talk about the Students app, where both Students and Teachers app, you can see that they are a next level generation. Those apps offer enriched learning and teaching experiences. And just like the apps that we saw with Besma, you can see here that the students get rewards. They get extra points. And so the work is linked between the student and the teacher. The teacher examines, evaluates, as well as basically assigns the homework. And you can actually find the fun element that we talked about, the gamification concept and the fun element being practiced as students work on their tasks. This here is linked to the Teachers app, where here the teacher has access to the student's book, the workbook, and the Students app as well. You can see in the in the slide in front of you that basically there's the interactive language practice and homework that can be pushed from the teacher's app onto students' app on their smartphones. So we see them on their smartphones all day long. Now let's make good use of the smartphones. And secondly, students can complete gamified activities in the practice or challenge mode. And so practice is for everyone. Challenge mode is for those higher achievers. And so here you can rest assured that it's actually catering for differentiation inside the classroom. Third is that they will be motivated to spend more time practicing English outside the classroom, which will maximize the opportunities for better learning outcomes. I've tried it, I've enjoyed it. I'm a teacher, I'm not a student, but I kept moving on from one question to the other. And it's really rewarding. It feels like, you know, I really want to do more. I want to continue. And so teachers can monitor students' progress or simply check if homework has been completed using the progress tracker in the teacher's app. So you, as a teacher, get to track their work, students' work. Okay, so here I have something for you that I really like about, you know, this part of the book. I really enjoy it. So it's a small part you find in, you know, the whole page. There's a small section that says brain teaser. And so, like it says on the slide in front of you, everybody enjoys a good riddle to tease the brain and allow a little more extra blood to flow to the mind. I know we enjoyed Basma's session because we were really, you know, encouraged to think further beyond or even imagine how things would be like inside the classroom while teaching them English. Now, I would like you, before we start with this, I would like you to tell me what the benefits of working together on a brain teaser would be. What could they be? Just think about it. So brain teaser, it's like a riddle they have to work on together. And so the benefit of doing this, and I'm giving you hints, what could it be? Anyone? Okay, so enthusiastic students, more enthusiasm, definitely. Sharing ideas, yes, yes. Can you have a good look at the brain teasers? Can you connect them to, definitely collaboration. Thank you, Asma. Motivating students, creativity. So if you have a good look at those triggering ideas, thinking, let's have a look at the first brain teaser that says 2 parents have got 6 sons. Each son has got a sister. And the question here is, how many people are there in the family? So give it a go. Think about it. 2 parents, 6 sons. Each one has got a sister. And we're actually thinking about it right now. Okay, Mahmoud says 9, Sarah says 9, someone said 12, someone says 6, 7 plus 2 parents, 7. Okay, so let's count them together. So 2 parents, 6 sons, 8, yes, Hind, and one sister, most probably because this sister is a sister to all of the 6 boys. So people who said 9, yes, you're right, correct. So imagine if the students were, yes, Amani, one sister, exactly. If the students were doing this together, I mean, we enjoyed thinking about it right now. They would really enjoy thinking about it together. They'll collaborate, and there's a point behind this, but I will ask you about it after we do the next one. Oh, you're terrible in math, Khalil? Okay. No problem. If you were inside the classroom, I'm sure one of your classmates will help you with it. And that's, by the way, this is one aim for the brain teasers, is that when you collaborate together, you learn from each other also. No one would concentrate on you alone, because then you will have a team answer. Okay, so the next brain teaser says, a father and 2 children wanted to cross the river in a boat. The father weighed 90 kilos and each child weighed 45 kilos. The boat could only carry 90 kilos. And by the way, the boat has to go to the bank and return to pick the other person. So you have 3 people and you have different, different weighing, each one of them weighing differently from the other. So how the 2 children will go first. One of them returns. Okay, reaches, and then the other child returns. Okay, so yes, you're. I didn't really get to read all of that. I'm sorry, but the father goes alone, and then the 2 brothers go alone. Okay, but how would the boat? Who would return the boat to them? So you have to think about this one. So you've got the father, and he has the boat with him on the other bank. So you need the boat to be sent back. 2 children go, 1 child gets back, and yes, okay, Islam, the father goes alone. Okay, yes, yeah, that's right, Islam. And so what happens after that? Okay, so there you are, you're thinking. Actually, it's 2 children go to one bank, and then one goes back with the boat and stays there. Then the father goes, and then the first child jumps into the boat, goes back, and then both children return to where their father is. Does that make sense? Okay. For those of you who solved it, well done. So imagine all the fun that is going on while trying to solve those kind of riddles. Now, I'm not going to discuss the third one because, but you can see clearly that it's a table and they have to fill it with information about students there, 1, 2, 3. But the question that I have is, what do you think that those brain teasers are related to? And so they are designed to do what? To help you as a teacher with what? Because as teachers, we all know that we have to have an objective for everything we do inside the classroom, and this objective has to achieve an outcome, the needed outcome. So critical thinking, speaking, definitely, but what else can you see there? analyze a problem, but look at them carefully, please, and have a look at the brain teaser number 1, brain teaser number 2, and just have a look at the language there. I'm giving you hints. Brainstorming, all of what you're saying is absolutely correct. Thank you very much. Someone said grammar. Thank you. Thank you. So it's actually grammar. They are designed to introduce boring grammar in an engaging and team-friendly way. And so the team, all of the students are working while using grammar. Notice, number 1, 2 parents have got 6 sons. Each son has got. Do you get it? So this is the structure that we need them to use. Now, a father, the second one says, a father and 2 children wanted to cross the river. The father waved. The boat could. And so there's another grammatical structure for you, yes. And the final one, the third one actually, it's not the final one because there's so many in the book. The third one, definitely, very, very clearly, Tom starts, Sarah likes, Anna doesn't. Clearly, it is focusing on present. Thank you very much. Okay, so here, the brain teasers, they cater to all ability classes and allow students to apply linguistic skills to a problem while demonstrating non-linguistic skills such as logic. So we enjoyed it because we started thinking in English in a way that's different from the usual way that we handle thinking in English. Okay, so it's like it is related to our lives. We're enjoying it, and it's really becoming more familiar to us. Now, this is one part of the book that is really enjoyable, and there's another part where you have students work working together, and this part is the peer review. Now, how could peer work contribute to learning the language? If we were learning a language, why would it be important for peers to work together? Definitely, learning from other mistakes. Either we learn from each other's mistakes or we learn from each other. Like we have someone who's really good in English, reflection and feedback. Thank you. Yes, because we have individual differences, we are actually, thank you, Sarah, practicing the indirect learning. Okay, and so here you can see that we have, this is done in every unit where after working, the students, they're asked to listen to their classmates and answer a few questions, or they're asked to exchange the kind of work that they did together. Thank you very much, Khalil. Group dynamics, yes. So they are in the category of more cooperative activities that engage students and involve them in each other's outcomes to reach a satisfactory stage of the final work. So each one of us in the classroom, we feel like we're building the work together. because we are reflecting on each other's work. Next, I'm showing you here that this is a page for every unit. It's called the project page. And so very quickly, if you have a good look at it, it's at the very top of the left side, it says the important what do you think questions. So this question is the main question for every unit. So you get students to think about the theme of the unit from the very beginning of the unit until they reach the project pages at the end of the unit. And so they work together, and there's a task there that they have to work on together also. You can notice that throughout the page, both pages actually, there are steps here that students need to follow. So it's really guided. It's like they're scaffolding the project together. So the projects help students to engage in the real world topics that they are talking about these days, and it leads them to advancing their futures. And so in each unit, and after deciding on the topic, the students get to watch a video. If you can see right under what the WDYT question, you have the students, you get the students, sorry, to watch a video, and then you continue with the steps. So step number 1 is think, step number 2 is plan, and before step number 3, you can clearly see that you have a box that handles the 21st century, one of the 21st century skills of English, and here it's talking about collaboration and empathy. And so they reach a point where they start to create, and they have a look at a model project in front of them with all the steps already done there for them to follow. And here there's a point that is really very, very important, I found, which is there's a note here that leads the students to a page at the end of the book where they can add all of their thoughts into a graphic organizer. And I'm sure all teachers love graphic organizers, not only me, because graphic organizers actually help a lot to put all those thoughts and ideas into order, to help the students learn how to thread their thoughts together to form their final piece of work. And so before the 4th step, they have to go through this and check everything. And then we move into the final step, which is the final reflection, where students finally reflect on their work in an attempt to evaluate their efforts. And so here we're contributing also to creating the individual learner, the learner who depends on him or herself to to study, to do the work. Okay, so before I move to the final slide, to what extent do you think this could be of help to you in your classrooms? It's like Think, Pair and Share. Abdulaziz, yes, I just read this. Thank you. So do you imagine that all of those steps would be helpful to you while giving your lesson or the project? Okay, so this is the final slide. And here you can see I took actually bits and pieces from different units. Yes, thank you. As long life learning is our target, it is. And as you can see here, all of them together, they form careful steps to follow in order to reach a complete project that embodies real comprehension of the unit's theme. And so again, we start with the question, and the project clearly asks students to use digital tools to present their work and develop digital competence. Remember the graphic organizer that I mentioned? Now you can see it in the middle here at the page, where it helps to scaffold not only students' work, but also helps teachers to work collaboratively with the students. One other thing is the personalized response gives students opportunity to put what they have learned into practice on issues that are important to their lives. We know that they actually experience different things on daily basis. So it's really fun again if they find that the book that they're studying caters for a lot of their interests. Here we have the creativity from the 4 C's, the 21st century C's. We have creativity, and then we've got super skills. It says here, boxes develop the 4 C's in the authentic context of the project with useful tips and phrases for successful communication. I hope you enjoyed today. And as a final word, I'm sure you will agree that Get Involved is realistic, it's empowering, it gets the whole class involved. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Mab. Yeah, fantastic. I really like Get Involved. It's a really nice, engaging teen book. And we saw some really nice examples there of ways to get students engaged in ways that Basma was talking about, things like the student app, that they can engage with the language in their own time. So, they have things like practice modes. So, if they're struggling with a certain part of the unit, they can practice that without feeling like, oh, everybody in class can see that I'm falling behind, or that I don't want other people to know that I don't understand, because there's that dynamic in the classroom. So I think the app is really nice for that. I think about when I started teaching, probably the same for you. We didn't have any of these things. So it's nice that students have the option for these types of things. And the projects, I love the projects. I think they're nice for teachers. When teachers think of projects, I was talking to Khalil in the chat box, they find them scary. They take a lot of work. As soon as you mention the word project to a teacher, they think they're going to spend, they're going to be up until 2 o'clock in the morning with glitter and glue and, having to make a massive model for their students. But that's not the case anymore. It's about getting them involved, getting them to collaborate. And if we think about Basma's example when she was showing us ChatGTP and the other Furby one, I'm going to keep calling it Furby. That's it now. But when we think of that, and when she was asking people for questions, if something is very personal to us, GPT cannot answer that question, right? It can provide information, can tell us all about Egypt, and it can tell us history and geography, but it can't tell us about ourselves. So a question that has come up a lot recently around AI is, we should not let students use it because they will use it to plagiarize, they will use it to cheat. But actually, when you do projects with them, they're forced to use the language, which is our job, to get them to use the language in a personalized way. There is no one answer. They cannot find the answer to their project on ChatGPT or an AI. So it's forcing them to use that language, but in a very engaging way, I think. So I really like the projects, and I hope everybody agrees. When I send out people's certificates, I will send them some information about Get Involved. So if they want to dig around and see what's inside Get Involved, they absolutely can. We ran over time a little bit, so thank you to everybody for sticking around. I think pretty much, I was looking at the participants, I think pretty much everybody did stick around right until the end. So thank you so much, everybody. I will be in touch. Mab, can you stop sharing? Because I want to share tomorrow's agenda.
Okay.
Find it?
Yes.
Let me share mine. So thank you so much once again to both of our presenters. They did such a wonderful job this evening. And thank you to everybody who joined us. As I said, we will send you some information about Get Involved and all the things that it can help you with, because it's all there, ready to go. You can just teach straight off of the page in a really engaging way. I'll send out your certificates, keep your eye open for them, and I will also send out some other information as well. And somebody was asking about tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be 30 minutes later than today, at 6:30 p.m. Cairo, Amman, and Riyadh time, which I'm sure most of you are in, or 4:30 if you're in Morocco. And tomorrow we're going to be looking at developing confident and competent young writers of English. So we're going to be looking at those productive skills, and Ola is going to be walking us through that. And Mab, you're going to be joining us again. We're going to look forward to 2 days with you, and you're going to be looking at how Academy Stars can help students develop their writing skills. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Thank you so much once again, everybody, for joining us. It's been absolutely fabulous to have you with us. And from myself, I will say goodbye, and I will let the ladies say goodbye for themselves as well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow.
See you.